Hello, my name is Jacob Reyes, and I'm going to be talking about a major topic that has been in the spotlight for quite some time, and it's about college admission tests. So colleges have been using the college admission test, for example, the ACT and SAT, for many decades to admit students to the university. However, it is an unnecessary and outdated protocol for future college students. My first main point on why college admission tests are unnecessary and outdated is it leads to less diversity among students. A key point to point out is that minority race admissions are low with these admission tests. A research done by Inside Higher claimed that the percentage of admitted applicants who are African American would go up at least 13.8%, and for Latino students, the percent would go from 7.9 to 10.6 in a SAT optional system, while it will go up at least 12% in a non-SAT system. The use of college admission tests also leads to working or economically disadvantaged students, admission being super low. A gain of lower working and middle-class students will emerge without the use of these tests. If private colleges drop the college admission test, it will result in gains in the share of the admitted class from the top 10% of high school class, according to Inside Higher. Another key point on why college admission tests is unnecessary and outdated is that they are time-consuming and costly. Students who are applying to colleges, especially for minority groups and lower working class, may not have enough money to afford these tests. These two tests alone cost $120. With this amount of money, students can be saving it for college expenses or using it to apply for more college applications. For students, many know that time is key, also for teachers. However, college-bound students are taking too much of their time, at least 40 to 50%, studying for the ACT and ACT test rather than their actual courses from high school. Their grades from their actual courses do also count for admission, not just the SAT and ACT. Instead, they should be focusing more on advanced placement test, AP or IB testing, as it actually simulates a true college course experience. Before students take their admission test, they also must take the PSAT, the pre-SAT, or the ACT, which also costs money and time and would require high school teachers to teach overtime, which costs more money and time. And my last point on why college admission test is an unnecessary and outdated way for students to get in is that it is insufficient in measuring a student's ability to attend college. First of all, it lacks reliability, perfect consistent administration, and content validity. PBS research looked at 33 public and private colleges and universities where it is optional for applicants to submit their test scores. In all, the test examined the records of 123,000 students from more than 20 states. It found that these test scores did not correlate with how well a student did in college based on grades and graduation rates. The ACT itself provides a single score on one test taken on one day of a student's life, measuring only the student's academic achievement and aptitude only for that day when they take the test. A college admission test score cannot possibly measure a school's effectiveness, yet the school's funding and reputations are based off these test scores. In other words, these scores only benefit the school's funding and resources rather than the student itself. In the end, we can all agree that college admission test is an unnecessary and outdated way for students to get in universities.
All right, Jacob, you've got the proposition identified. It's got two parts to it. You want the singular claim for your proposition. There's no preview of what the supporting structure is going to be, so that's a little bit of a problem. You do signpost your first point pretty clearly, and I thought that was okay. The other supporting points in the presentation, I heard good transition language. I didn't hear a numerical signpost, but I generally knew what those issues were. Although I'm not sure if there were 3 supporting points or 4 supporting points in the presentation, and that's one of the reasons why I think you need to be a little bit more explicit about that structural material. The information on the first point had some statistics on what the potential diversity issue would be if we didn't have the SAT or the ACT, or if we used it in combination with something else. And there was a general source citation given on that. I think we could use a little bit more information about how they arrived at that decision, but I think it's pretty good information. After that, there's another source citation that gives. It's a small piece of testimony. I think it needs to be a little bit more convincing. There was a 40-50% time statistic that you presented. I didn't even understand what that was. 40-50% of what time, what amount of time is being lost. You don't really seem to explain that very well, and I got no source citation on that. And then I did get the PBS report on how they perceive the effectiveness of the test in measuring people's performance, and I thought that was actually the best cited piece of information in the second part of the speech. So that was pretty good. I do think that you need some information to suggest, for instance, that this is limiting people's ability to get it. As far as I can tell, the only information that I have that suggests that some people aren't getting into the schools they want are the statistics about the different ethnic groups that would get in if they didn't have this. And I'm not sure that necessarily demonstrates that they are okay with the school that they're going to get into, that they're going to succeed in those schools. I think the information that you had at the end maybe applies to that argument a little bit, but you need maybe a little bit stronger data on that particular point. The cost issue, $120 out of your pocket is a chunk of change, I would agree. However, if the place that you're planning to go to college is Harvard, and that's the SATs keeping you out of that, I'm not exactly sure that $120 is going to help you that much with your college expenses. There are a lot of places that are expensive to go to. Actually, Harvard's pretty good because they don't charge tuition anymore. They got such a big damn endowment. So that's the bad example. Berkeley. All right, you get into Berkeley, it's still going to be $30,000 a year. So the $120 that you save because you didn't have to take the SAT test, that seems like it's small potatoes in this situation. What you want to do is you want to go to the argument that says that people who could potentially qualify for scholarships, get into school and do that, they don't even take the chance because they can't afford to take the test. I think that's the way you go with that argument there. All right, thank you.